So I've been looking for deals over the last like 30 days or so. Some cold calls, broker connections, calling some past sellers. I would say I'm 30 days in, nothing yet. It usually takes like 30 to like 90 days, I think, like actually just pound the pavement to find and make a good deal. But thoughts on that? You guys out looking for deals?
Well, we're also looking for an asset class that's tough, right? A lot of people like manufactured housing communities for obvious reasons. And there's a lot of people. I mean, you had Brandon Turner talking about mobile home parks, which got everybody jazzed about it. Now, it is a different story. We find that like once people buy them, they're like, oh shit, there's actually nuances to this asset class. But I mean, how many times, like the last two deals we closed were off market. And both of them, the first guy you called, Mitch, was like, you're like the third call I've had today on, and you sweet talked him because you are charming and it's on the phone. So they can't see you, which is an advantage to you. But like, these people, but right, they're getting destroyed or not destroyed. They're getting blown up. But that's our asset class. I'm sure if we were calling on some of these multifamily assets that were going underwater and, they might be more interested in talking to you, but it's mom and pops that you're connecting with. I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough asset class, but once you get one, it's fantastic.
I'm really not, if I'm being fully transparent, I'm really not looking for deals right this moment. I mean, I will probably always be involved in real estate investing in some fashion. Right now, I'm really focused on how to optimize my current portfolio. What can I do with inside my portfolio to, increase the cash flow, decrease expenses. I've been selling off some of my smaller properties. I've been doing that for a while. I still have some of these smaller units that have been great rentals for me. They've served me really well. They've been great properties. I'm still a big believer in, the small multifamily, the mixed use, some of those things that, they've done really well for me, but I have a lot of equity. So I've been slowly selling off some of this stuff. And I find that really interesting. I mean, I've had properties like a year ago, I put some properties on the market, like 4 of them. 2 of them sold like right away. Like one of them was a quick close cash at asking price, multiple offers, and some have sat there. I have these properties. They went under contract like twice, and then someone backed out. Now they're back in contract. So it's kind of
this OKC. Is it in Oklahoma or are these other properties?
It's not in Oklahoma. No. This is in Oregon. This is in Oregon. They're great. They're great properties, but it's, I'm in a position where it's like, if I get the price that I want, it's worth selling. If not, I'm fine keeping these as rentals for another 10 years if need be. Right. But it's interesting. There's buyers out there, but I'm seeing, buyers go in contract, pull out for whatever reason. I don't know if these are real investors or wannabe investors, or they're getting nervous. It's hard to tell, but right now that's my focus, is getting rid of some of the smaller properties that have a lot of equity and just kind of optimizing my current portfolio at this point.
Well, I think what drives people nuts is like not understanding that this is a patience game. Like investing is not a sales game. Like a sales game is like more volume, right? Like you're just attacking it. You want volume, you want people, you want lead flow, you want all that stuff. And people get into this game, they kind of expect that, I think. And then this, the long-term investing lacks short-term fast dopamine hits. So people get bored or they get impatient. I think that like what's interesting is that you could go for a year or 2 or whatever. We've done that before without really finding a deal, but then you get a deal or you make a deal that's like so impactful. That one deal affects your total financial picture.
Could be a year, one
and
deal.
So, exactly. So like, I just think that like philosophically, people listening to this are like, oh, how do I find a deal? Or like, I've been looking for like a month, and I even started it that way. It's like a month is like kind of nothing. It's like you need to be in like the flow, like obviously, connecting with people, building relationships, like looking at opportunities. But like when you started out, Gabe, you talk about calling people on Craigslist. It took like over a year to find and make that first deal. I think the better you are at this game, the faster you can potentially go, because you know what to look for, how to negotiate, how to talk to people, but it can still take a long time. I think people look at, like us maybe, or other real estate investors, and they're like, oh, they're part of the club. They're part of the underground, whatever, like where properties trade. And it's really not true. But it takes that mindset of like patience and diligence, and also the belief. I think I've heard Gabe talk about this, where it's like the belief that's going to happen. Otherwise, if you don't believe it or you lose belief along the path, then you end up trying to do something else. So I do think it's patience.
You have to be patient, but I think actively patient, right? It's not sitting on the sidelines. I have watched, people say, well, I'm going to wait until prices come down. Well, they don't. I'm going to wait until interest rates come down. They don't. And those aren't usually the people that are out buying when prices adjust or interest rates adjust or anything else changes, right? So,
because then they're like, oh, it's a bad market now.
yeah, you have to be active. You have to be active, and there's cycles. Like, so when I say, like I'm trying to optimize my portfolio, some of that is I'm also looking to refinances. I just refinanced one of my properties recently, pulled a little bit of cash out of that. I'm currently working on 3 more possible refinances. There's a time. Like, does it make sense to refi right now? Maybe. Right. Like I'm going out of hard money to try to get something, some more longer term fixed debt on these assets. So there's a lot of ways to try to optimize within your portfolio. But at the same time, for new investors, like this could be the time to be building relationships. This could be the time to be making offers, right? I see a lot of people say, hey, well, these properties are still overpriced. Well, who cares? Like, offer 50 cents on the dollar, 60% on the dollar. Like, you can't worry about offending, a potential seller. Like, there's deals to be had, but a lot of people are intimidated by the purchase price or the lending environment. Like, this is the time to get creative. Like, get creative on the price, get creative on the terms, get creative on how you structure the deal. Like, creativity wins in this kind of market. And a lot of people, are just not only not willing to be creative, they're not willing to look at enough deals or make enough offers to even see if they're, if those offers are going to stick.
Well, there's always a reason not to buy deals, and there's always like in the macro environment of the economics, and there's also always reasons to buy deals. Like right now, there's in the MHP space, the manufactured housing community, you've got an older generation of people that want to exit and more willing to carry contracts, but you have to build relationships with them. There's also maybe less buyers because they're fearful of the war and they're fearful of inflation just ticked up over 4.3%. That might give them a reason not to do it, which is also a reason to do it, because if you have less buyers that are competing for good assets, then maybe that's a good reason to be on the phone. Gabe, did you close on that triple net medical? I know that there was 2 of them you had in contract. One you got out, and then there was one.
I did not. So I was thinking about. It was a decent deal. I was thinking about backing out of that deal. And I don't know if you recall, but the sale of that deal also relied on the merge of the current business that was occupying the medical tenants that were occupying it and private equity. And they were still in the middle of their negotiations. Yeah. So I was going to back out. Like, this was just recently, just like 2 weeks ago, I was going to back out, and I said, hey, what's going on with this? Because closing kept getting pushed back anyway. And the private equity group that was buying out and merging with this particular business, they had not finalized negotiations. And so I was able to get all my due diligence. I've never lost earnest money, so I got all my earnest money back. There was some other fees in there and third party like inspections and stuff that the broker actually reimbursed. They said, "Hey, we value you. You as a buyer. You've been a great client of ours." And so, yeah, even all my due diligence funds were sent back to me, and I ultimately walked away from that deal. If you like what you're hearing so far and you are not making at least $120,000 a year with cashflow real estate or have millions of dollars in equity, come check out our 0 to 100 elite community. The link is below. Check it out.
Sometimes, Mitch, and I think about, just because finding MHP is tough right now, you really do got to find, I wouldn't say find the needle in the haystack, find a good foundation of a property to work with. And then, like we always say, make it a deal. And we've done that. Like, we were in contract on a property in Illinois, and good upside, amazing upside. In fact, immediately just billing back water, sewer, we'll get $150,000 of net operating income enhancements. But we had to wait 12 months, and so that made getting bank financing tough. It just didn't make the DSCR look great. It didn't. The returns to our investors didn't line up. And so we've had a frank conversation with the guy like, hey, this is going to be any buyer. This is going to be tough because you've got a great asset, but you didn't do the things. You're $100 under market rent. You haven't billed back utilities. And so we talked to him and said, this deal works with owner financing. There's a 25% down payment. It's a 2-year interest-only note. And if we can do this, we can give you the price that you need, which is still a good price. And it works for us. It works for our investors. And so that's where you make a deal, right? You go back to the seller and say, explain and educate why this is tough. And he was an interesting guy. This guy had owned several parks. I think he's 80. He's been in the business for a long time in mobile.
Yeah, like a golf course. He owns a lot. Yeah.
He never carried a contract ever, which is kind of rare in the mobile home park space. And he agreed to it. But that was because we built a good rapport with the guy. So again, there's another example of a deal that maybe a lot of buyers would have went to the bank, looked at the cash on cash, potentially looked at IRR if they were a little more sophisticated and walked. Whereas, we continued to massage the deal. And it's going to be a good one. It's going to be up several $1 million in value in a couple of years. So
I don't want our listeners to miss what you just said, because it goes back to the adage and something that we always say: deals are made, they're made, not found. And I still think, especially our like newer investors, I think they literally think that some deal, some email is going to come across their table, and
never off market deal goes out to 50,000 people. Yeah, not off market.
And so it just really illustrates, like, deals are made, not found. And at face value, most properties aren't deals. Now, you may see something in a listing, you may see something in a potential property that you have to, I guess, uncover and find. And you might see something where, oh, this might have some legs, I'm going to dig in a little bit more. But at face value, you take the average property, any asset class, and you get average financing, like, it's at best, maybe it's an okay deal, but usually not. It's really kind of going back to that, being willing to get creative, having the conversation with the broker or seller, and really trying to figure out how do I make this a good deal? Because a good deal is not just going to slap you in the face and you're going to go, oh shit, this is an amazing deal, and somehow I'm the only one that found it. All those amazing deals, they usually take time, a relationship, conversations, back and forth. Like, it's not just going to fall in your lap, usually.
Yeah, I also find, Travis mentioned this too, we talked to the seller about seller financing. I think we actually asked them up front as well. This was another, we have 2 of these in the last year or so, or 2 years, where the seller said no. And then we built a relationship with him, with a rapport. We got, 2 weeks in or whatever, we've been talking to him now. And we go back and we ask him again, because deals can flex, and you can change terms, and you can modify, and you can negotiate, but it's all a factor of your relationship with the seller, right? And or broker. Usually the seller, if you can get to the seller. But like, the better relationship you have with them, the more they start to see the deal as like not a buyer versus seller, more of a collaboration. Like, let's work together to get this to the end. What if we modify this? What would that look like for you? Is that okay for you? Like, I could bring up the interest rate or down the price or we can work together. Like, let's just figure this thing out. And that the more you feel like friends, the more you can collaborate to get it done, versus being like, I'm the buyer, you're the seller. And we're like, but it's kind of like the Hollywood things, like you butt heads, right? I'm the buyer and I'm like, oh, I'm going to really stiff this guy. And the seller's like, fuck the buyer. And it's not like, to me, it's never been like that. It's like, how can I become friends with this guy or gal? And by the way, I'm still friends like years later with a lot of the sellers. And that works because you band together to say, how do we do this together? How do we get this thing done?
Something that happened on, I know what deal you're talking about in Wisconsin, that seller, same thing. You're like the third call I got today. And Mitch, I've said this before, it's how he got his wife. It's the Chinese water torture. He just doesn't give up. And he just keeps, yeah, I appreciate you not wanting to carry a contract and wanting this price. However, and so on that one, I would guess more advice is don't trip over nickels. Don't try and save nickels and then walk away from making a lot of money. Meaning, in that particular case, this particular community, I think we were $200 under market rent. Beautiful community, all paved roads, city utilities, all tenant-owned homes, which is sort of like the holy grail. Great little market, and we knew that park in 2 years would be up $1 million roughly. And so Mitch just said, "Well, how about you carry a contract, and we'll throw you an extra $25,000." Right? as the down. Was it the down payment or did you come up on the? I forget. Did it
No,
come up on the
come
price?
up on the price.
Yeah, and she was like ecstatic. And I think I see a lot of people.
And she trusted us by then. She understood. Like at first, I was just this random guy, you know. But after 2 or 3 weeks, we talked. I met her down there. I walked the park with her husband. Like we had some trust. We had some rapport.
But the lesson being, a lot of maybe newer investors get really hung up on $25,000 and that concession that they have to make, and they're so hyper focused on that piece of it, they forget that real estate is a long-term game, and there are levers you can pull if you buy the right asset. And I remember Mitch called me and said, "How do you feel about coming up $25,000?" And we'd already run the numbers, and we were like, if they carry a contract, she carried 2 years interest only 6%. Like, yeah, I mean, that was a no-brainer because we saw the upside, and you can flex. You, as a buyer, you want the seller to flex, but you also need to flex and make sure they get what they want. And that was a win-win.
Well, I mean, the deals where I can win the war but lose multiple small battles feel awesome to me because the seller gets to win on certain things that is important to them. I flexed her way on deposits. I flexed her way on, I think we were late, like reimbursing water or something during, and we came her way another $500 or what, like there's multiple times for a total of maybe $30,000, but yet we have $1 million upside in the war. So like win the war, but we'll be willing to lose small battles so that you don't want to ignite ego between the two of you. You want to cooperate,
But that relationship worked well too, because we just refinanced her out and we had to extend 30 days. And she was adamant. At first, she was like, "Yeah, I want to get this closed." She was waiting on that final cash payday. But because Mitch had built a rapport and continued to build a rapport, and we followed through on our obligations, we made every payment on the owner note. She said, "Yeah," and I think you even threw her an extra an extra $500 for her to extend 30 days, and we refinanced. We're returning 50 to 60% of our investors' capital. It's a great asset. We'll hold it forever. And that was a no-brainer, but Mitch kept that rapport. A lot of people, even with an owner's note, don't continue to build that rapport. And you need the rapport either in the transaction, because you might need to extend the closing. You might need to come back and ask for seller financing. You might need them to come your way on some maybe things you find in due diligence. So that's important, but also throughout the length of the contract, you need to maintain that rapport. We've got a lot of our communities, well over half, started owner contract, and that's important.
But I'll say this too. I like to do business like that anyway because I enjoy making friends. I mean, she could call me any day of the week and I'll answer and I'll help her with it, whatever she needs. We're done. We're done with contract. So it's also not a bullshit relationship. Like you build a relationship with these people and you take care of them throughout time. They take care of you, and it's just like we helped each other get to the finish line. So I think it's a win-win.